Alrighty, folks, welcome to episode 112 of the Q&A. If you like the Q&As, remember to hit the like button. Do it now, in fact. Right now would be a good time to do it. And as always, my friends, if you want to work with me directly for coaching or check out any of my ebooks, look for the links in the description box, as well as the link to my Patreon, where you can become a more substantial supporter of the Q&A for $1 a month. And with all of that said, let's get into today's ridiculous and informative questions. Any advice for someone with a trained to failure bodybuilding background who wants to pursue strength goals? Well, go do some research on strength training programs and pick one that you like. It's really that simple. You don't need to go through some sort of philosophical metamorphosis to become a strength trainee. The main thing is that you're not going to train to failure anymore. You're probably going to use higher frequencies for specific lifts, and your volume is going to go up compared to bodybuilding training. When is the next video in the best exercises for XYZ muscle groups coming out? To be honest, I think I'm going to abandon that series, and the reason why I've soured on it a bit is because it encourages the exact type of thinking that I don't want people to have, which is that there are special magic exercises that give you way better gains than anything else. And if you're not doing those, you're missing out, your program's suboptimal, and you should stress about it. When in reality, you don't need fancy machines to make incredible progress. Why do people do RDLs with a slight knee bend instead of keeping their legs completely straight? Because trying to do an RDL or a good morning with your legs completely locked destabilizes the movement, and it's not a good position for the hamstrings to produce force from. You will massively decrease the weights that you can use in the movement and not for a better stimulus. For example, you guys have all seen me do RDLs with 6 plates and beyond. If I tried to do straight leg, stiff leg deadlifts, I'd probably be in the 2 to 3 plate region at most. Why do SBD work wonders for some people and not work at all for others? For example, minimal squat work blows me up, but bench protocols, even varying different protocols, do absolutely nothing. Well, for one, this is bullshit. That's just bullshit. What would happen if you got your bench up to 5 plates for reps? Nothing would happen. No hypertrophy. That said, the reason why some people grow better from certain exercises than others all has to do with their individual biomechanics. So, for example, consider a long arm bencher. In order for a really long arm bencher to bring the bar all the way down to their chest, it might actually be the same humeral position as a short arm bencher using a 4-inch deficit camber bar. That's how low their upper arm angle is going to drop. So for them, a regular flat bench might be an incredible pec stretching movement that provides tons of pec and tricep development because of the super long range of motion. Whereas for somebody who's maybe naturally built for benching, has kind of a barrel chest and a short humerus, their upper arm might literally not even break parallel unless they use a completely flat back and exaggerated flatness. So the answer to this question, and not only this question about SBD, but all exercises in general, why do people get different results from doing the same exercise, sometimes even doing the same exercise with the exact same external technique, is because they do not have the same biomechanics due to their differences in anthropometry and whatever else they've got going on. So there are many examples that you can think of. And that is why you are going to have to determine what exercises give you the best SFR. And there is no such thing as a universal best exercises for XYZ muscle group. What's your waist measurement at peak bulk versus peak cut lately? I do not measure my waist. I think that's a complete waste of time for me as an enhanced bodybuilder, because it is highly influenced by how much water I'm holding, which is, of course, a pharmacology thing. A guy with a powerlifting profile picture asks me, I'm 5'5", 17% body fat, with an FFMI of nearly 25. I have a 245 kg squat and 180 kg bench. Should I cut down to 74, which is a weight class in powerlifting, or should I keep bulking? My man, this is an entirely personal question. So in the US, I don't know where you are, those numbers will not be competitive at 74 or 83. So really, it just depends on what you personally want. What do you want to look like? What do you care about more? New strength gains or aesthetics? Personally, I would do whatever makes you happiest. Seriously. What would be better for overall back thickness? Deficit SLDL or deficit conventional deadlifts? Neither. I would just do regular conventional deadlifts because that's what's going to allow you to lift the heaviest amount of weight. But I think this is sort of like a silly question. It's almost like asking me, like, what is the best squat for glutes? Well, I mean, it's probably a low bar parallel squat. But like, if you really want to train your glutes, there's probably a lot of better ways of doing it that don't involve tons of knee flexion and your lower back. And I really think it's the same thing for hip hinges. If you get super strong at any hip hinge, any of them, like 6 plates and above, you're gonna have good erectors. If you want massive traps, you should probably get a massive row or do some shrugs. I think you should select your hip hinges based on what hip hinge gives you the best SFR for posterior chain development, because they are for the hips, not the back, in my opinion. What is your opinion of SBD-only training? Garbage. I don't see the appeal here. To me, this is like if you take your, stereotypical Reddit neckbeard guy and you show him powerlifting and he still wants to look like a weeb but win meets. Newsflash, buddy. Go to a powerlifting meet. All the people that win tend to be the most muscular in their weight class. That's how it works. So unless you are super genetically gifted and have more muscle mass than everybody else without even trying, you're probably not going to go very far doing minimal range of motion competition SBD variants. Terrible idea. All right, so I have no idea where this information comes from, but I've been seeing it a lot lately, just from random people in comment sections on the internet. Don't ask me why I'm in the comment section, but I see people saying that WADA and USADA cannot test for HGH. Bullshit. Not only can USADA test for HGH, I can test for HGH. It's a common little box that you can check when you get blood work to see if your HGH is working. Not only is there a test for it, you can directly measure serum levels of HGH in your blood with a simple blood test that WADA and USADA do. The thing is that's actually not sufficient. Because athletes can find out what the supposed natural limit is and then supplement up to that limit. So there is a whole much more complicated testing protocol to catch people using HGH and UFC at the Olympics, and I will link it if you want to read more about it. Bottom line, and I don't know why this bothers me as much as it does, but it does. Don't let people make you feel stupid for believing that certain people are natural, and do not hesitate to call people out when they say that passing drug tests is easy. Drug tested doesn't mean drug free. If drug testing is so easy to beat, why are countless Olympians and UFC fighters caught every single year? If the tests are so easy to beat, why was the state-sponsored doping program in Russia, why did it primarily revolve around doppelgangers that had clean pee, bribing officials to change test results, and literally breaking and entering into facilities to swap samples? If it's so easy, why didn't they just use the magical designer steroids that can't be tested for? Because it's not fucking easy. These people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's very, very hard to stay ahead of the testing. Alrighty, folks, that is it for today's Q&A. So, first the ads and then a little discussion of the next session. If you enjoy the Q&As, please remember to like the video when it comes out on YouTube, or you can become a more substantial supporter of the Q&A on Patreon for $1 a month. If you'd like to work with me directly for coaching, just shoot me a DM on Instagram or look for my email in the description box on YouTube. Likewise, for my ebooks, there's going to be a link in my bio on Instagram or a link in the description box on YouTube. So with that said, next session we have coming up will be a little bit different than this one. I've got a bit of an A-B rotation going on now with squats and hinges. The reason why I decided to go that direction is because I have an emotional attachment to my hinge numbers, and I'll just never get the best hinge numbers possible doing squat and hinges on the same day, which right now is something that I do care about. So we'll see if I can get 5 clean reps with 585 on RDL this time. Last time I got 4 plus a bit of a cheat rep. Till next time.